The plea from the stars. The grand observatory of Celestial Haven fell silent as Elder Saphira's tendrils dimmed from vibrant azure to a muted blue. 12 council members floated around the crystalline table, their translucent bodies reflecting the starlight that streamed through the dome above. Through the vast window, distant flashes punctuated the darkness of space, not the beautiful stellar phenomena the Australi had studied for millennia, but explosions, death, destruction. "We have lost contact with the outer settlements," Elder Saphira announced, her melodic voice wavering. "The Defense Network reports catastrophic losses. We cannot withstand the Devourer horde much longer." Nervous luminescence rippled through the assembled Australi. Their species had evolved in the gentle radiation belts of a binary star system, developing consciousness without the evolutionary pressures of predators or harsh environments. For 10,000 years, they had built a civilization of art, philosophy, and scientific discovery. They had no concept of warfare until the horde arrived. "We must consider all options," said Council Member Lyra, her tendrils pulsing with urgency, even the unthinkable one. Everyone knew what she meant. For decades, Australi deep space observers had studied the only known species to have successfully repelled a Devourer horde attack: humans from Earth. But humans were classified as Deathworlders, dangerous beings evolved on a planet with crushing gravity, extreme weather, and countless predators. Beings whose very biology was built for survival at any cost. "Surely there must be another way," pleaded Council Member Orion, his form shrinking. "The humans are unpredictable and violent. Their history overflows with conflict. They might pose a greater threat than the Devourer horde itself." Lyra's form expanded, her luminescence intensifying. "I have studied the humans extensively. Yes, they are frightening by our standards, but they possess concepts we barely understand: honor, self-sacrifice, and something they call courage. Most importantly, they have the strength we lack." On the central display, the latest battle footage played in silent horror. Australi ships, elegant and graceful like their creators, were being shredded by the black, chitinous vessels of the Devourer horde. The casualty count in the corner of the screen increased with sickening speed. "We vote now," Elder Saphira said softly. "Do we send the distress signal to Earth?" The council members extended their tendrils toward the sensing panels. The result appeared instantly: 7-4, 5 against. "The motion carries," Saphira whispered. "May the cosmic flow forgive our desperation." In a small, reinforced habitat within the Australi diplomatic compound, Ambassador Sarah Chen looked out at the breathtaking crystal spires of Luminous City. Despite 3 years among the Australi, she still felt like a bull in a china shop. The aliens were so delicate, so peaceful. It seemed they might fracture if you spoke too loudly. The door membrane rippled, and an Australi aide entered, glowing with unusual brightness. What humans had learned indicated extreme distress. "Ambassador Chen, the High Council requests your immediate presence," the aide said, voice like wind chimes. Chen followed through the winding corridors, her sturdy boots making hollow sounds against the resonant floor. Something serious had happened. For weeks, the Australi had been excluding her from critical meetings, and now they urgently sought her counsel. The council chamber opened before her. Chen had been here only once, during her initial credential presentation. She felt like a giant among them, her solid human form appearing brutish next to their delicate, floating bodies. "Ambassador," Elder Saphira began, "we face extinction." Chen listened as they explained about the Devourer horde, showed the battle recordings, and described their desperate vote. "We formally request Earth's assistance," Saphira concluded. "We need your vessels, your warriors, your—" she searched for the appropriate term, "your human resilience." Chen's mind raced. This was beyond her authority, but she knew Earth's response. Humanity had always been explorers and defenders at heart, especially since the Great Unity following first contact decades ago. "I will transmit your request immediately," Chen said. But you should understand something about humans. When friends are in danger, we don't come in small numbers. Admiral Vanessa Torres stood on the bridge of the EDF Resolute, Earth's newest flagship. Around her, officers worked at their stations, preparing the fleet for emergency deployment. Message from command confirmed, Admiral, reported Communications Officer Park. We have authorization for a full-spectrum response. Torres nodded. How many vessels do we have? 63 combat ships, 25 support vessels, 8 medical ships, and 15 infrastructure carriers, ma'am. Torres raised an eyebrow. Infrastructure carriers. Yes, Admiral. Command says if we're helping the Australi rebuild, we should bring everything they'll need. That was humanity for you, Torres thought, ready to fight with one hand and build with the other. What do we know about the enemy? She asked. Tactical Officer Diaz displayed the data on the main view screen. The Devourer Horde appears to be a hive mind species with bioorganic ships. Their exterior is harder than our strongest alloys. They consume everything in their path. Planets, moons, asteroids, converting matter into more of themselves. Weaknesses unknown, but Ambassador Chen is forwarding all Australi intelligence as it becomes available. Torres studied the battle footage. The Australi ships were beautiful but completely impractical for warfare. Set course for the Australi home system, maximum warp, she ordered. And make damn sure our weapon systems are at full capacity. Time to introduce ourselves properly to this horde. On the Australi homeworld, crowds gathered around public displays showing the human response message. Many had never seen a human before and recoiled at Admiral Torres's appearance, her solid form, direct gaze, and authoritative stance seeming almost predatory. People of the Australi confluence, Torres' recorded message played. Earth has heard your call. We are coming with everything we've got. Hold on just a little longer. Humanity stands with you. The message was brief, direct, and lacking the poetic language the Australi valued, but it sent a wave of cautious hope through the gathered crowds. In the council chamber, Ambassador Chen received the fleet details from Earth. 111 ships. Elder Saphira's luminescence pulsed with shock. We anticipated perhaps a dozen. I told you, Chen said with a small smile. Humans don't do anything halfway. Council member Orion's glow dimmed with worry. So many warriors coming to our peaceful system. What if they decide to remain? That's not how we operate, Chen assured him. But right now, you need warriors, and humans are the best in the galaxy at fighting and surviving. As they spoke, across the vast emptiness of space, the human fleet was already breaking all known warp limitations, pushing their engines beyond safe parameters. Because that's what humans did when friends were in danger. They would arrive soon, and the Devourer Horde would learn why Deathworlders were feared throughout the galaxy. The EDF Resolute cut through subspace like a knife, leading Earth's response fleet toward the Australi home system. Blue-white energy coalesced around the massive ship as it traveled faster than any Australi vessel had ever achieved. On the bridge, Admiral Torres stood with her hands clasped behind her back, watching the chronometer count down to arrival. Her face showed no fear, only focus and determination. Status report, she ordered. All ships maintaining formation, Admiral, reported Navigator Santos. We're pushing engines to 125% of recommended parameters. At current velocity, we'll reach Australi space in 42 hours. Not fast enough, Torres said. Push to 140%. Chief Engineer Okonkwo's voice came through the comm system. Admiral, the engines weren't designed for that level of stress for extended periods. Can they handle it or not, Chief? There was a pause. They can handle it, ma'am. I'll make sure of it. Make it happen. Torres turned to Tactical Officer Diaz. What have we learned about the enemy? Diaz displayed a holographic representation of the insect-like devourer ships. They appear to be biological rather than mechanical. Their outer shell is composed of an unknown compound stronger than most metals we use in shipbuilding. They don't employ energy weapons as we do. They ram their targets or secrete a corrosive substance that dissolves through almost any material. Weaknesses. They communicate through some form of hive mind. If we can disrupt that network, we might confuse them. Also, their biological nature suggests potential vulnerability to extreme temperatures or radiation that wouldn't affect our vessels. Torres nodded. Good work. Keep analyzing the data Ambassador Chen is sending. She turned to address the entire bridge crew. I want everyone to understand what we're facing. This isn't a peacekeeping mission. The Astrali are on the brink of extinction. They've never been fighters, and now they face an enemy that knows nothing but consumption. The Admiral displayed images of the stunning Astralis cities, their artistic achievements, their medical and scientific advancements. This is what we're protecting. A civilization that has brought beauty and knowledge to the galaxy for thousands of years. Her voice hardened. And this is what we're fighting against. The display changed to show the Devourer horde consuming an entire moon, converting it into more of their ships. They don't negotiate. They don't show mercy. They only devour. The bridge fell silent as everyone absorbed the gravity of their mission. But there's one thing they've never encountered before. Torres continued, her eyes glinting with determination. Humans, Deathworlders, creatures who evolved on a planet that tried to kill us every day, and who learned not just to survive but to thrive. A small smile crossed her face. Let's show them what Earth's children can do. In the ship's training facility, Marine Commander Rodriguez put his troops through combat simulations against holographic Devourer forces. Sweat poured down their faces as they practiced fighting in varied gravity conditions. Again, Rodriguez shouted as the team completed a drill. The Astrali homeworld has 0.7 Earth gravity. You'll jump higher than you expect. Adjust your aim accordingly. Sergeant Quan wiped her brow. Sir, what are the Astrali like? Will they fight alongside us? Rodriguez shook his head. Not likely. Their physiology is fragile by our standards. They evolved on a world with no predators or environmental hazards. They're built for peace, not war. Then why are we risking our lives for them? Asked a young private. Rodriguez fixed him with a steady gaze. Because they asked for help. Because they face extinction. And because that's what humans do. We protect those who cannot protect themselves. He displayed a hologram of an Astrali child, its small body glowing with soft blue luminescence. This is who we're fighting for. Remember that. In the science bay, Dr. Amira Hassan studied Astrali psychology and culture. As the fleet's xenoanthropologist, it was her responsibility to prevent misunderstandings between humans and their alien allies. Their entire society is built around harmony, she explained to the team of cultural liaisons. They have no concept of competition as we understand it. No sports where someone wins and someone loses. No debates. They make decisions by gradual consensus. How do they innovate without competition? Asked one liaison. They collaborate. Their technology advanced through cooperation, not conflict. Hassan smiled. It's actually quite beautiful, but it means they were completely unprepared for an enemy like the Devourer horde. She displayed images of Astrali body language. Their luminescence indicates emotional state. Bright means fear or excitement. Dim means calm or sadness. They find our facial expressions confusing and sometimes frightening, so try to maintain neutral expressions around them. So we should remain expressionless, a liaison asked, when possible, and avoid sudden movements or loud noises. To them, we're essentially space ogres, big, strong, and scary. We need to be gentle. Engineer Okonkwo crawled through the maintenance shafts of the Resolute, personally checking the warp core components. Her hands moved quickly, adjusting, reinforcing, improving. How's it looking, Chief? Asked her assistant through the comm. We're redlining everything, but I'm implementing some modifications that should help, Okonkwo replied, connecting additional cooling systems to the overheating components. This ship was built by humans. It can take more than the technical specifications indicate. She paused, looking at the pulsing heart of the warp drive. My grandmother helped design these engines. She always said there was a 60% safety margin built in. And you're pushing them 40% beyond recommended limits, her assistant pointed out. Okonkwo grinned. Exactly. Still 20% to spare. As the human fleet raced through space, the Devourer horde continued its advance through Astrali territory. On the Astrali homeworld, Ambassador Chen worked with the Council to prepare for the humans' arrival. Your people will find humans intense, Chen explained gently. We're louder, faster, and more direct than you're accustomed to. But every human coming here has been trained to respect your customs. Elder Saphira's glow pulsed with concern. We have prepared landing zones for your vessels and accommodations for your people, but I must warn you, Ambassador, many Astrali are frightened of humans, even though we desperately need your help. That's natural, Chen assured her. We look very different, and our ways seem strange to you. But once your people see humans fighting to protect them, much of that fear will fade. An alarm sounded, and an Astrali aide rushed into the chamber. Elder, our outer defense network has collapsed. The Devourer horde has broken through. They will reach our home system in 36 hours. The administrator's tendrils brightened with hope. You came, just one ship against so many. Ortega's smile was grim. That's what humans do. Now move your people. We'll hold the line. 34 hours later, the main human fleet burst into the Astrali home system in a spectacular display of power. Admiral Torres had pushed the timeline by reconfiguring the warp field geometries, another impossible feat that humans somehow manage. The Resolute's bridge was a hub of controlled activity as Torres absorbed the tactical situation. The Stormrunner had survived, miraculously, drawing the Devourer splinter fleet into a complex game of cat and mouse through the system's asteroid belt. Meanwhile, the main horde fleet had reached the outer defenses of the Astrali homeworld. Captain Ortega showed them what one human ship can do, Torres said. Let's show them what 100 can do. All ships, battle formation Theta. Medical vessels, hold position at safe distance. Infrastructure carriers, remain in reserve until called. The Earth fleet spread out in a three-dimensional matrix, fighters and smaller vessels, nestled within the protective envelope of the capital ships. All ships, weapons-free, Torres commanded. Target the outer shell of their formation and fire at will. The darkness of space lit up as hundreds of human weapon systems engaged simultaneously. Devourer ships exploded by the dozen as the first salvo struck home. But the horde was countless, and they responded with terrifying speed. Thousands of Devourer vessels broke away from the Astrali homeworld and swarmed toward the human fleet. The real battle had begun. Hold formation, Torres ordered as the enemy closed in. Let them come to us. The Devourer tactics were primitive but effective. Overwhelming numbers and frontal assault. They slammed into the human defensive formation, acid spraying across shields, ramming attacks testing structural integrity. Shields holding at 78%. Admiral, reported the tactical officer. We're inflicting heavy casualties, but they just keep coming. A Devourer ship 3 times the size of the others emerged from the mass. That must be our command vessel, Torres said. Focus fire on that target. Multiple human ships concentrated their weapons on the massive enemy, but its armor was incredibly thick. It shrugged off the assault and continued forward. Admiral, we've received a transmission from the Astrali Council, the communications officer said. They say they're detecting unusual energy readings from within the large enemy vessel. It may be preparing some kind of attack against their planet's surface. Torres's expression hardened. We can't let that happen. Prepare the Resolute for ramming speed. Her bridge crew stared at her in shock. You heard me, she said calmly. Clear all personnel from the forward sections and reinforce forward shields. We're going to punch right through that thing. Admiral, the first officer protested. "With all due respect." "Noted, Commander." Torres cut him off. "But that thing is preparing to wipe out an entire civilization. We need to stop it now." She opened a channel to the fleet. "All ships, this is Admiral Torres. The Resolute is going to engage the enemy command ship directly. Provide covering fire and continue protecting the Astrali homeworld." She turned to her helmsman. "Set course directly for the command ship. Maximum impulse." The enormous human flagship broke formation, accelerating toward the monstrous Devourer vessel. Enemy ships swarmed around it, but the Resolute's point defense systems cleared a path, its reinforced shields absorbing incredible punishment. On the Astrali homeworld, crowds watched in stunned silence as the battle unfolded on their viewing screens. The concept of self-sacrifice was alien to them. They could not comprehend what they were witnessing. "The humans are purposely endangering themselves to protect us," Elder Saphira whispered, her luminescence pulsing with emotion. The Resolute slammed into the Devourer command ship at tremendous velocity. Its reinforced prow, designed for exactly this kind of desperate maneuver, penetrated deep into the biological structure. The impact sent both vessels tumbling through space in a deadly embrace. "Detonation charges armed," Torres reported calmly. "All hands, prepare for emergency evacuation." She looked around at her bridge crew. "It has been my greatest honor serving with you. Now move." As evacuation pods launched from the Resolute, Torres remained on the bridge, ensuring the detonation sequence was locked in. The charges would ignite the warp core, creating an explosion powerful enough to destroy both vessels. Chen's expression darkened. The human fleet wouldn't arrive for 38 hours, and then would need time to organize. "Contact Admiral Torres immediately," she ordered. "Tell her to send ahead any fast scout ships. We need eyes on the enemy's main force now." As the message was transmitted, Chen looked out at the beautiful Astralis city, its crystal towers gleaming in the light of the binary stars. Soon that beauty would face the ultimate test, and humanity's response would change the galaxy forever. The sky above Astrali Outpost Zenith darkened as hundreds of Devourer ships descended. The colony's shields flickered weakly under the assault. Inside the central sanctuary, thousands of Astrali huddled together, their luminescence dimmed with terror. "Shields will fail in 8 minutes," announced the colony administrator, struggling to keep his voice steady. "All citizens, prepare for evacuation to the underground chambers." But everyone knew the truth. The chambers wouldn't save them. Once the shields fell, the Devourer horde would consume everything. The buildings, the land, the people. Nothing would remain. A small Astrala child looked up at the viewing screen showing the enemy ships and asked, "Where are the humans? Will they come?" Before anyone could answer, a new alert sounded. Something unexpected was happening at the edge of the system. Deathworlders unleashed. A brilliant flash of light erupted at the edge of the Astralis system as a single human vessel dropped out of warp. The EDF Stormrunner, a sleek scout ship, had pushed its engines beyond all safety parameters to arrive ahead of the main fleet. On the bridge, Captain Maya Ortega surveyed the tactical display with narrowed eyes. "Scan the entire system. I want to know exactly what we're dealing with." "Multiple Devourer signatures detected, Captain," reported the sensor officer. "Main fleet concentration near the 4th planet. A splinter group is descending on a colony on the 2nd moon of the gas giant." "That's Outpost Zenith," said the Astrali liaison officer, his tendrils nearly white with fear. "There are 10,000 civilians there." Ortega's jaw tightened. The Stormrunner was a reconnaissance vessel, not designed for heavy combat. The main fleet was still hours away, but those people would be dead in minutes. "Helm, set course for the moon." "Maximum impulse," she ordered. "Weapons, prepare all systems. Communications, broadcast on all frequencies in both human standard and Astrali harmonic speech." As the ship accelerated toward the besieged outpost, Ortega stood. "This is Captain Maya Ortega of the Earth Defense Force vessel Stormrunner. To all Devourer units. You are attacking a peaceful civilization. Withdraw immediately or face the consequences." There was no response. She hadn't expected one. "They're ignoring us," the communications officer reported. "Good," Ortega said, a predatory smile spreading across her face. "That means they'll be surprised." "Tactical, target their lead vessels. Fire everything we've got." The Stormrunner's weapons blazed to life, lancing through space to strike the rearmost Devourer ships. 3 exploded immediately, their biological structures vaporizing under the concentrated energy assault. The Horde responded instantly, hundreds of ships breaking off from the attack on the colony and turning toward this new threat. "We've got their attention," Ortega said. "Now let's make them chase us. Helm, evasive pattern delta. Keep us just at the edge of their range." The Stormrunner danced through space, drawing the Devourer ships away from the colony, its superior maneuverability allowing it to stay just ahead of the pursuing Horde. 1 human ship against hundreds of enemies, but it was enough to give the colonists precious time. "They're following us, Captain," the tactical officer reported. "Colony shields are stabilizing with the reduced attack." "Now for Phase 2, Ortega said. "Release the experimental probes." From the Stormrunner's launch bays, dozens of small objects shot into the midst of the pursuing Devourer ships. Each probe immediately began broadcasting on frequencies that human scientists had determined might disrupt the Horde's hive mind communication. The effect was immediate. Devourer ships began colliding with each other, their coordinated movements dissolving into chaos. "It's working," exclaimed the science officer. "The disruption is spreading through their formation." "Keep them confused," Ortega ordered, "and get me a direct channel to Outpost Zenith." On the colony's command center display, Captain Ortega's face appeared. The Australia administrator stared in shock at the human, her expression fierce, a small cut on her forehead leaking red blood. "This is Captain Ortega. We've bought you some time, but not much. Begin evacuating your people to the far side of the moon. We'll keep them distracted as long as we can. The main Earth fleet is coming." The last pod ejected with seconds to spare. The Resolute and the Devourer command ship erupted in a blinding flash that temporarily outshone the binary stars. With its command structure destroyed, the Devourer Horde fell into disarray. The hive mind connections severed, individual ships began acting erratically. The human fleet pressed the advantage, methodically eliminating the now uncoordinated enemy. 3 hours later, Admiral Torres stood on the bridge of the EDF Thunderchild, her new command after being rescued from her evacuation pod. Her uniform was torn, and a medic was treating a burn on her arm, but she refused to leave the bridge. "Status report," she demanded. "Enemy forces in full retreat." "Admiral," the tactical officer reported, "we've destroyed approximately 60% of their fleet. The remainder are withdrawing from the system." "Pursue and eliminate," Torres ordered. "We can't let any escape to report back or regroup." Casualties: 23 human ships damaged, 8 destroyed. Rescue operations underway for survivors. Current casualty estimate: 412 dead, 1,500 injured. Torres closed her eyes briefly. Every death hit her personally, but they had saved billions. "The Australi homeworld is sending a transmission," the communications officer announced. "It's Elder Saphira." The alien leader appeared on screen, her luminescence brighter than humans had ever seen in an Australi. "Admiral Torres," she began, her voice melodic with emotion. "There are no words in our language to express what we have witnessed today. You risked yourselves, sacrificed yourselves, for beings you barely knew. Our oldest philosophers debated whether true altruism could exist in the universe. Today, humanity has answered that question." Torres nodded respectfully. "This is who we are, Elder. We protect those who need protection. It's what makes us human. We feared you because you evolved on a world of death," Saphira said. We never considered that such an origin would create beings capable of such valor. The battle is not completely won, Torres cautioned. We'll need to establish defensive systems in case they return. And your people have suffered great losses. And yet, for the first time since the Horde appeared, we have hope, Sephira replied. The Astrali Council has voted unanimously to offer humanity permanent alliance. We have much to learn from each other. 3 months later, Ambassador Chen walked through a new section of Luminous City alongside Elder Sephira. Human engineers worked alongside Astrali designers, creating structures that blended the practical durability of human architecture with the artistic beauty of Astrali aesthetics. The reconstruction is proceeding faster than we anticipated, Sephira noted, observing a group of human children playing with young Astrali, teaching them the concept of tag, a game that had fascinated the peace-loving aliens. Humans build quickly, Chen smiled, especially when we're building with friends. In orbit above, a mixed fleet of human and Astrali vessels patrolled. The newest Astrali ships incorporated human defensive technology, while human ships had been enhanced with the elegant efficiency of Astrali design. We were wrong about your people, Sephira admitted. We saw only the potential for destruction in your Deathworld strength. We failed to see that the same evolutionary pressures that made you fierce also made you protective. Chen nodded. Strength without compassion is just brutality, but strength with compassion, that's humanity at its best. A memorial stood in the central plaza, a sculpture combining human and Astrali artistic traditions, honoring those who had fallen in the battle. At its base, a simple inscription in both languages. They came when we called. They fought when we could not. They died so we might live. We will remember. The Devourer Horde had learned a painful lesson, that somewhere in the galaxy, a species had evolved on a world that tried to kill them every day. A species that had not just survived but thrived, developing both the strength to fight and the compassion to protect. A species that, when called upon, would cross the stars to defend others. Humanity had arrived, and the galaxy would never be the same.